One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. To let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads, I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? 7 days and back again for another episode of The Dominant Effect. I'm March Bishop. We got Mike Ball, Aaron Olinger. What's up, everybody? Glad that you decided to tune in today. We got another special for you. I hope it help you pay attention to this one, because this one here is it really sticks. And it kind of goes along with some of the stuff that we was doing, last week, just like a continuation of that in a way. But before we go into that, like always, we check and see what everybody's up to for the week. So we'll start with you, Aaron. What's up, brother? How was your week?
Oh, it was great. I've been busy. Last Tuesday, I got to be the keynote speaker at a church, and I basically did an overview of preparedness. The pastor there felt it was very timely that we needed that, and we had people show up for it. And I was supposed to be one of three speakers. There's supposed to be a martial artist there to talk about self-defense. There's supposed to be a paramedic there to speak on first aid, and turned out I was the only speaker that showed up. So we had a 2-hour allocation, and I got to talk for 2 hours on a subject that I greatly enjoy talking about. So that went well. And then I've got a knife show this coming weekend in my hometown of Dayton. I've got 4 disaster preparedness kits to put out at my show along with other stuff. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of this weekend. I'll stop there.
Man,
So you had 2
always
hours to go?
outshine everybody.
Yeah.
2 hours of going through it. I mean,
Yeah.
but hey, listen, you know what's kind of funny that I was going to point out about you doing exactly, you know, what you do. But good thing you kind of can cover all bases and kind of
Yeah.
talk about all of it, you know, first aid, all of that stuff. So,
Well,
you know, you kind of
well,
were
I'm
able
a-
to fill in for all of it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. I've got kind of a monotone voice, so I told the guy that was hosting it, I was worried that I'd put some people to sleep, you know, after an hour or so. But man, everybody was so excited and was eating it up as fast as I was dishing it out that even got sleepy from what I saw. And we had great questions from the audience, and they're looking forward to doing the next one, which we got another one on, I think, either the 15th or 17th of November.
Damn. Well, good on you, bro. I didn't do anywhere close to impacting a community like that within this last week. Definitely was more to myself. You know, I'm busy with my show every day with, you know, every morning. And so I'm committed to that. And, you know, with the amount of craziness in the world, man, I kind of try to actually in my own personal life do as not little as possible, you know, but you know what I mean? Like in the aspect of like trying to not go above and beyond, and you know, because a lot of that times when you do that, you're spending money, and that's something I hate doing, you know. So you know, for you, you're obviously making money doing what you do, so it's awesome. Good on you, bro. I definitely have. I need to catch up.
Well, my week was it started out pretty good. I mean, actually the whole week was good. I ended up leaving Florida for a little bit. Went to Ohio to see my mom, my daughter, and my great aunt turned 80 years old. So they had a big celebration for her. Had a real good time. I wish I could have stayed longer, but then I had to, of course, go back to Florida and back to reality. So, but I did have a real good time there. I mean, and it was good to see family. And actually, I ended up meeting some family that I had never seen or had seen, but they were babies when I seen them last. So now they were like fully grown, which was tells you how long that's been. But but then back here, starting back up. So we finished up Lawless Ones, like I was telling you earlier. It ended up getting picked up fairly quick. So they're talking about end of December, beginning of January is supposed to come out.
Man, I'm going to be watching.
They picked it up. Usually it takes a couple months for them to go actually go through it, but they picked it up within a week. So that's going to be out end of December, beginning of January. And then the other one, Change Your Heart, I'm not quite sure when that's coming out, but I do have a trailer that I'm going to show you right quick.
Let's run it.
Kind of give you an idea as to what that movie's about.
Hey, Ethan. I'm really sorry about your loss. Your granddad was a great man.
Damn animals.
Hey, you okay?
Mind your business.
I'll tell you what though, you keep it up with that attitude, you're gonna lose more than just your cool.
Ethan Walker,
Yeah, what's going on?
you're under arrest for the murder of Sarah Davis.
Wait,
Hands behind your back.
I didn't do. Who the hell is Sarah Davis?
Your attorney's here.
They said that you followed her. They said that 1 hour later she was found dead.
I said I didn't do it.
All rise.
The Honorable Judge Christopher Hayes.
We are here in the matter of the state versus Ethan Walker. Are both sides ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that one will be out. I'm not quite sure. They said I just got the trailer today, so when I find out exactly what that's coming out, then I'll let everybody know. So we're gonna jump over into this topic today. So I titled this America's Quiet Economic Reset. The hidden plan behind the U.S. dollar decline. So I'm gonna kind of start this out with, well, like everybody knows, everybody knows that the American dollar has been the backbone of global power for nearly a century, actually a little over a century. It won wars, built empires, and shaped economies. But over the past few years or so, something's been happening. Things have been changing. And a lot of it has been changed quite deliberately. And that deliberate change is kind of rolling around and kind of putting a change on everything that we know of. So from inflation to digital currency to international alliances breaking away from the dollar, and the U.S. economy just evolving, is being reset. But who's pulling the strings behind this reset? And what's the end game behind it? So that's what we're going to break down tonight. So so just a little history on the actual decline. So since since World War II, the U.S. dollar has been basically the world's rescue currency. It's in every major commodity, oil, gold, trade deals relied upon it. Basically everything that ran around the world had some form of fashion, had to use U.S. currency in order to do that. But in the last decade, America has printed out more money than the previous 100 years combined. COVID-19, stimulus packages, you got the debt ceilings, you had the bank bailouts, pushed the national debt way over past 35 trillion. Inflation didn't just happen. It was a predictable outcome from this overprinting of the dollar. So nations like China and Russia and Saudi Arabia, they all started trading in yen and gold and crypto-backed contracts, and now they're trying to start up this BRIC alliance with more than 40 countries that has already signed up, and then you have other ones that's been slowly trying to dip their nose in it too since since the past year. More and more of them has been slowly trying to dip into it. The brass tacks is the dollar has lost over 20% of its value in the last decade. You had the inflation, you had the national debt, you had the endless printing, and it kind of eroded the confidence of the dollar worldwide. Now you have China, you have Japan, which are the two major countries that has a lot of the U.S. Treasury. And we're going to get into that a little bit later as to the reason how that took place and why that's really not good for them to have like that. But then you also have the decline of the petrodollar. So back in June of last year, That
And
50-year
we
agreement.
reported
was-
on that, both
Right.
of us.
Yeah, that 50-year agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia it was done, but instead of them actually going back and doing a new treaty, Saudi Arabia decided that they wanted to allow all the other countries to use their own currency to be able to buy oil from them, which in turn we took a blow. It helped out everybody else, and you still have Saudi Arabia. Basically, it was like a win-win. They didn't lose anything out that game. But now you have going on right now with these countries. You have this rush for the resources, trying to get their hands on every single thing that they can get their hands on, because it's a lot at play right now, and a lot of stuff that's at play right now is dealing with these resources. But so let me ask you a question right quick, Mike, since
Sure.
Aaron's
Yep.
trying to get his thing fixed there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that the U.S. is losing financial power, or are we just adjusting to the global system?
No, we're losing financial power. And BRICS has definitely done a number on that specifically. We were able to do specific sanctions and all sorts of different things when it was the US dollar only. But now that we have BRICS as a humongous competitor, it's something that it definitely affects our US currency, right? And our buying power. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Aaron, I'm gonna ask you the
apologize.
question too. Were you able to hear what we were saying? Did you
I
hear what we was
didn't,
talking about?
I lost all sound, so I had to go out and come back in.
It's okay.
But if you're
Okay, well, let me read you the question that I just asked him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the question I asked Mike was, do you believe the U.S. is losing financial power, or are we just adjusting to the global system?
No, we're definitely losing financial power due to BRIC Alliance, one, and then the fact that our dollar is losing value, and a lot of countries are getting off the U.S. dollar. That's causing a great deal of pain for us. And then what's causing our dollar to go down in value, inflation has a major part to do with that, which the Federal Reserve is controlling that. Mike, if you don't mind, if you put up the number 2 picture first.
Sure.
I'd like to make 2 points here.
Here we go. Let me grab that real quick. So this is number 2, and I'll put us on the
Okay.
side here.
What I want you to look at right here is U.S. federal debt spending. That's in trillions of dollars. That's how much it costs to run our government. Now, this was back in 2020, okay? Now, put up the picture 1, okay? Now, go to the right and look up where it says U.S. federal thing there of 5 million. As you can see, if we did not increase the size of government from 2020 with that big government hiring thing that went on, we make enough tax revenue to cover operating the government. However, if you go to the left and you look at where it says U.S. on the second line, U.S. federal spending, what is official, you will see that now, because we're running based upon a big government, that we're looking at $7 trillion to operate, but we're only taking in 5 trillion basically in actual
Right.
money. So
Right.
we're running at a deficit. That means the Federal Reserve has to print money to cover a blank check for our spending.
That's
We're
missing, right?
We're operating beyond our ability to bring in the tax revenue for. So that's wrong. That's the wrong way to run an economy. That shows fiscal irresponsibility. And with the Federal Reserve controlling our money, they're constantly printing. Now, in the short term, it helps because we can pay our bills. But in the long term, it creates inflation because you're flooding the market with so much money That's like having a half a glass of milk, and every half hour you add a tablespoon of water to it. It dilutes the value. The money becomes worthless over time and runs you into almost a hyperinflation period. But in the short term, you're able to cover the bills. Now, Mike, if you don't mind putting up that last picture I sent you.
Sure, right here.
Okay. I want you to see here how much the US dollar has lost value up till now. It's probably only worth 53% of what it should be value-wise.
Right, right.
And when it becomes worth less, let's say a loaf of bread. I mean, back when I was young, a loaf of bread, you got 4 loaves for $1. Now, 1 loaf might cost you $3 or $4, depending upon the name brand. As the money becomes worth less, it takes more of that money to purchase that same item. That's the reason why I kind of posted a cartoon on my page today to where I showed an old lady saying, well, I don't usually talk about the trips I take, the expensive trips I take, but let me tell you, I just got back from the grocery store. Okay. And she starts talking about how expensive of a trip that was. Your dollar is not stretching, which that's killing people's savings. I can honestly say I'm running into more and more people that's living off their credit cards than they are actual income, which is the exact same thing the United States government is doing. We're living off of credit and not off of our actual income, or living below our income levels. That's a failed economy in the long run. And it's leading us into a disaster of a collapse that we're not going to have any other choice on. And then when you have China, Russia, and the BRIC alliance trying to speed that process up, man, it's down the road. I just don't know how far, but it's coming. And we're going to have to do an economic reset and go to a digital currency at that point. We won't have any other choice. But I'm going to stop there.
I was just going to ask you about that. Do you see that this eventually just flipping over into a digital currency altogether?
Yeah, but
or is it going to be a universal currency? What is it going to be?
Well, China has their own currency. Again, China wants their currency to lead the world. We want ours. And, the BRIC alliance, so long as they keep pushing forward, if they can get their currency to stabilize against the US dollar, not only is it going to boost them up in trade, but it's going to weaken our sanctions. Our sanctions won't have no bite to them at all because people are superseded because they don't need our currency no more. And it's going to further weaken the value of the dollar. If you think at 53% we're doing bad, you haven't seen nothing if China can actually come up with a currency to stabilize against the US dollar. And it's also going to challenge the US dollar dominance. Even in the digital currency world, we will definitely be challenged.
Real quick on that, Lappy here in the comments says, I don't understand how a digital currency would solve our problem, though.
It's because they're going to do an economic reset. It's a do-over. Okay,
It resets.
Right. But when they let the currency collapse, Americans are going to have to suffer for a period of time because those that are religious are going to know what we're going to. We're going to the digital currency, or the currency that's spoken of in the Bible, to where there will be no cash. So it's a cashless society. That's what we're moving toward. And those Christians and them are not going to go for that. They're not going to want it. There's going to be a public outcry. But if you let the public suffer long enough with zero currency, or the currency is probably only worth, say, 10 cents on the dollar. As soon as they run out of those dollars, they're going to be asking for relief. They're going to be begging for relief. I'll take anything. Just give me some relief.
Yeah,
And
right.
and that's when the digital currency is going to come forward. The Federal Reserve created the situation with the high inflation. They're going to come to you with the solution. They're going to say, here's the solution to your problem. You accept this digital currency, this cashless society that we're going to have complete control over you and your spending, and we'll give you relief.
And it's all convenient. It's all super convenient for you, right? Yep.
And the
built
majority,
into your phone.
the majority of the public's going to go for it because they live too long in a disaster crisis type situation that they'll take anything now just to be able to get that relief.
You're right. Okay, let me ask you this. So why would the So why would the government potentially weaken its own currency on purpose? Now, I do understand the fact dealing with CBDC. We've talked about that numerous times. But why do you think that they would just like deliberately just do that? Is it just a control thing, just to be able to control everything that's going on? I mean, because I'm pretty sure it's not just the fact of just having a cashless society. It has to be something else to it.
Right.
Convenience.
Well, let me jump in here. Most government officials is on, say, what they call that, where they're on the payroll lobbyists. That's the reason why I feel all the government officials need to wear a jacket that looks like NASCAR, so you can tell which corporations is buying them off. They got the stickers of that corporation on them. Under a weaker dollar, corporations who produce products that are shipped overseas, those products become cheaper on the market for those exports, will cost less. However, imports will cost more at that point. We don't import as much as well, we do import quite a bit, but the exports are going to cost less. So that helps those corporations that deal overseas to make more money. Global banks, it allows the banks to expand their loans based on the dollar credit. And then you got investors. It creates favorable currency effect, which mostly benefited China in that fact, because they can come over here and purchase and things and do things that their products just sell like crazy over here. But the investors, the global banks, and the corporations all come out ahead under a weak U.S. dollar, because that's all people care about. That's in a corporation. They care about profits. They don't care
That's
about
it.
John Q. Citizen, people like us.
No, of course not. It's all
And-
numbers.
Right. And we're the ones that's got to live in this society that they're building for us. And a lot of people don't even see it coming. They're going to be totally blindsided and wonder, well, why did this all change? Well, it's because it was more profitable for them to change it. And that's the reason why they're going this way. It's to redistribute the wealth from the working class and middle class to the rich. I'll stop there.
Which is ass backwards, right? So
You know what? Personally, I don't even think it's about the money anymore. I think it's more about the control.
Well, it's control, yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you started moving the world off of a dollar standard, right? And your elites are restructuring how that financial power operates, right? So money becomes data. Data becomes the new grid. And then with that grid, they're able to control. So it's to go back to what you was talking about earlier about people just begging to have this. And this was something that we had talked about numerous times on other shows, because we were saying that if they would try to bring this up like right now, for instance, and talk about how we was going to go over to a cashless CBDC system. Now, mind you, a lot of us don't carry cash now. A lot of them don't carry cash. I mean, I tend to, you know what I mean? But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just use the card or whatever and go, you know what I mean? Or they take their phone, scan, and go on about their business. But the difference with that is
$1.
But the difference with that is it's not about like now, for instance, we using cards or whatever, or you can take your phone and scan and whatnot, okay, and go on about your business. On a CBDC though, they know exactly what you spend it. They can actually tell you what you can spend and what you can't spend. You know what I mean? There's more government control over it. I mean, it takes away your control of your money and it makes it somebody else's responsibility, or program or AI or whatever, to tell you what you can and cannot do with your shit, which would be a problem. and you know everybody would pitch a fit over that. You know what I mean? They would riot and loot and everything else because they do not want that to take place. But if you crash that dollar and you make it to where it's not worth the paper it's printed on, and everybody lose their stocks and their 401k and their retirement funds, and the banks close, you're not gonna get the shit that's in your safe deposit box and all that shit. You know what I mean? You basically broke. You got nothing. You're gonna beg them for this shit. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what they want you to do. That's gonna be the only easy way to be able to get this to go across. You know what I mean? Now in China is different. You know what I mean? China is actually a communist country, and whatever they decide to do, that's what they're gonna do. And everybody just gonna fall in line with it. Here's a little different. You know what I mean? People just ain't gonna go for the regular status quo and just say, oh yeah, well, this is what they're gonna do now. Okay, cool, let's just do that. Because they know what's gonna happen. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to strategic thinking. They've got people in think tanks that sit around and come up with plans of how to invoke things. When you sit down to dinner and you got a plate of food in front of you, you lift that plate up and just pour it straight down your throat, or you take it a bite at a time. The first bite was them giving you credit cards to use to get you away from using cash and only living on cash. That extra ability to spend was the carrot on the end of the stick that got you going that way. And then you're pulling out plastic every time you turn around. That's moving you toward a cashless system. Second step was to come up with the cryptocurrencies, which again was another bite of food to move you in the right direction. Third step was going to be to collapse the dollar. Fourth step is going to be the digital currencies that they come forward with to move you into the cashless system. They didn't rush you into it because too many people would recognize what it is. It's been a steady, planned, programmed way to brainwash a person one step at a time, push you a little bit forward, push you a little bit forward. Now, here's where we are today. I'll stop there.
Mm-hmm. Now, when they first started that digital system, back in, let's see, what was it, 23, if I'm not mistaken. That's when they came up with that FedNow system. You know what I'm talking about, Aaron?
Is that the one that the Chinese run?
You there, Aaron?
Yeah, what did you just say? I didn't hear that last part.
No, this was here. So back in 23, the Fed came up with something called the FedNow system. And it was marketed for like fast payments between one bank to another.
Yeah.
Okay? And they called that the foundation for the digital dollar back in 23.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then you had the Federal Reserve that just kind of quietly partnered up with some of these banks and some of these tech firms like MIT Digital Currency Initiatives, which was like it was like the test the digital U.S. currency. It was like a test just to see what would happen. Then you had similar systems that was already in use, like in China, and then Europe had the digital euro. But then with the CBDCs, they can be programmed to do just about anything. They can expire, they can restrict, they can limit purchases, and then it's also set up to where the government can actually block transactions for certain goods. Mm-hmm. You can block them for doing donations. Even if you plan on traveling somewhere, they can block your funds, all in the name of what they call security or climate policy. You know what I mean? Is bullshit, but it's just what they can use to actually keep you from using what it is that you worked, and you should be able to use it however you want to use it. But that's not really how that goes. So what's coming isn't just digital money. It's like It's a financial operating system that kind of merges your identity, your credit, and your compliance. So if you got full transparency, your privacy becomes obsolete. We already know that. And the illusion of freedom remains, but the permission kind of replaces your choice in that situation. So let me ask you this, Aaron. Do you think that the digital dollar would make life easier for people, or would it put more people under surveillance?
It's going to put more people definitely under surveillance, but the public won't see it that way, because look how easily they were convinced that it was easier to carry plastic in your pocket than to carry cash. They sold that idea with saying, look at all the cash you got to carry when you can just carry one plastic card. And people believe that. They bought into it. And it's the same way I at that church. I ran into a guy and I explained to him what gold backs was, what silver and gold was. I had visible pieces in my hand to show him. And I had a guy in the audience comment, well, man, you got to carry all that around with you. Where if I got digital currency, I don't have to carry that with me. And I'm like, well, I can go anywhere in the world and go to a currency exchange place and I can get cashed out in their currency. Plus, I explained to him how if you don't own it, if you can't hold it, you don't own it. And if the power grid goes down, what I have in my hand has extreme value. Your digital currency is worthless at that point. You will have no access to it. And the audience in return believed me, but I could tell he had already been deceived to believe that it's easier to carry digital currency and better to carry digital currency than it is to have an asset right there in your hand, because that's a lot of weight to have to carry. And that's how they brainwash people. So,
Right. Yeah, I think with that, I think what will probably go on is like some would actually go for it because of the convenience. It's like the convenience part comes first, and then the control part comes after, right? And then you also have to realize that once you got rid of the physical cash, then there's no more untraceable, freedom that, so there's no more working under the table and shit. There's no more just, just taking cash and just go buy whatever you want to buy it. It's they got full view of whatever.
Well, real quick.
You gonna say something, Mike?
Isn't there? Yeah, I was gonna say that regards to this, and I know that Aaron's gonna talk about this later, and he is, and you guys are actually really in tune with that, but I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. What is a universal currency? Something that is going to at least retain its value, if not get better, right? And so I would bear that question, right? What is something that is tangible that you can have in your hand, essentially, that can be bargained anywhere in the world? What would that be?
it's going to be gold and silver.
That's right.
But we're leading to a one world government, a one world ruling party is what we're going towards. So the United States wants their current digital currency to be number one. China's going to want theirs. Two people can't share the top of the mountain. There's going to only be one person standing at the top of that hill. And going back to what Bishop was saying on control, if you decide to go out and buy 1,000 rounds of ammunition that day at the bank, and you got all these digital credits, and you go in and you decide at the gun shop to buy 1,000 rounds, that transaction can be denied. If you go to the store and you want to buy $500 in canned goods, that could be a violation of the Hoarding Act. And they can deny that transaction. They say, no, you can't have that. You're doing whatever. I want to buy a truckload of cases of bottled water. No, you're hoarding again. We're going to deny that transaction, because with the Fed now thing being in place, everything is going to be done in real time. They can see exactly what you're doing. They're going to have supercomputers that will be watching and looking for key words or key items that someone might be trying to stockpile, and that's going to trigger a reaction and give a red flag for somebody with some regular eyes to take a look at what you're trying to acquire. And they can say yes or no to it like they're your parents. You decide to go out, well, I'm gonna fill up my gas tank, and then I got 10 5-gallon things of to fill up gas in 5-gallon containers. I got 10 of them. I'm gonna get 50 extra gallons of gas. That could be denied. You know, they may say, well, your car only holds so many gallons. What you doing with the rest of it? It's just like right now, you go to certain stores. Yeah, you go to certain stores. Certain vending machines will no longer take cash. Certain parking lots will no longer take cash. Some stores will not take cash. They're gently pushing us toward the world of complete control. So if they're not going to take cash anymore, what do we need the fiat currency for? So people need to see we're gently being pushed. They're not just shoving you into it. It's a bite at a time to get you used to it. And then you will arrive where they need you to be.
Real quick, I got to read these two. I got Naomi that comes in with the $4.99 saying, respect to Mike, AB, and Aaron. Awesome. Very much appreciate you throwing down some cash and support of the show. Appreciate you, Naomi, for that. Glare 1%er also comes in with $4.99 saying, so the important question is, how is digital currency going to work in a strip club or with the lady of the night? Very good question. Very good question. Appreciate your $4.99.
Oh, shit. Well, let me answer this. With every technological change, jobs changes occur. There's certain jobs that get phased out. Like back when I was younger, a key punch operator that punched the computer cards was a key job to have. Now, with the modern day computers, they don't need key punch operators no more. You'll probably go in there with your little card with your digital currency credits on it. But if you're out there slinging drugs and stuff, or you're selling stolen goods, the handwriting's on the wall. Your job is about to be phased out because nobody's going to buy your stuff because they're going to wonder, where's this coming from? Where's these stolen goods coming from? Where are these drugs coming from? That's the whole reason why they're bringing out dispensaries. They're going to dispense the stuff and put these other characters out of business. But let me stop there.
You know what? I'm gonna say something about the strip club thing now, and I'm gonna say this: even with times changing, when there is a will, there is a way. Okay, they're gonna figure out a way to do this. Okay, so whether that means
she working on gold,
they're gonna walk up to you and you're gonna have to touch. You're gonna have to touch phones. You're gonna figure out something. It's gonna be
bumping
a way
phones.
that you're gonna do.
We're bumping phones. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, stripping is.
It's never gonna die. It's never gonna die.
You're not just going just phase that out. You're not phasing that out.
Right. It's
under
not
no
happening. It's always gonna work.
Circumstances are you gonna phase that out.
It's gonna work always.
I mean, so you're gonna figure out a way to do it. So they're gonna walk around, they're gonna have a little something on them or whatever. You're gonna go beep with your phone, and they're gonna keep on going. They're gonna figure out a way. Now with the dope boys, I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, any way that they can, you're not going to be able to do any transactions in a manner that they're not going to be able to tax. I mean, even if you have a garage sale and you take in a couple $100, they're going to know exactly what you made so they can tax it. The day of avoiding paying taxes, that's about to come to an end with this new control measure going in place. They're going to know every dime that you make.
Well, not only do they know every dime that you make, but they already know exactly what you bring into your fucking house. Look at Venmo. Everyone's sitting there going, for a big screen 86-inch LG TV. Boom. You know what I mean? It's like you're telling everybody what, not only the government, but you're telling everyone on the application as well, what the fuck you're bringing into your house. And that's scary. That's a scary thought. And that's something that really made me realize it is using Venmo and seeing what people because you'll see what your friends are like purchasing and shit. I'm like, why do I need to know that? I don't care about what they're spending. I care about what I'm spending, you know. But nonetheless, real quick, Steven Stahl comes in real quick for $10, man, and saying another great show tonight. Scan that QR code. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for the support, you guys.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, Aaron. I'll let you start. So, in your opinion, what happens if the dollar loses its global reserve status?
Man, if it loses its global reserve status, we're going to see hyperinflation over here. I mean, you might be paying a couple dollars for a gallon of milk. I think in Alaska they paid 10 or 15, but a gallon of milk could end up costing $50 or $100 at that point, because we'll be in a hyperinflation. You want to understand hyperinflation? Take a look at when the Venezuelan economy collapsed. Take a look at the Argentinian economy collapse. Right now, if I took 1 ounce of silver and went to Argentina and cashed it in their currency, that 1 ounce of silver that's worth $53 here would be worth $72,431.18. If I took 1 ounce of gold and went to Argentina right now, that 1 ounce of gold that's worth $4,220 would be worth $5,703,930 is what it would be worth in Argentinian pesos, because they're rebuilding their economy due to hyperinflation. If we get hyperinflation over here, and you don't want to see that, it's going to literally rape everybody's bank accounts, and you'll be struggling just to come up with money to buy food, let alone pay bills. But I'll stop there.
Okay, let me ask you this right quick. So you talking about Argentina and about the restructuring and rebuilding and all that. Okay, so right now we got full government shutdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, we're sending money.
So how are we able to send $40 billion to Argentina today if we got a full government shutdown? Now,
I heard it was
sitting here
$20
bitching
billion.
over a program, but you just sent $40 billion somewhere. How are they able to do that?
I agree.
Oh, very simply. Remember, we're operating under a blank check and have been for a number of years with the Federal Reserve. All we do is go to Federal Reserve and say, print us up 40 billion, or give us digital credits on a computer, 40 billion. That's a loan to the U.S. government. That's a loan that the U.S. taxpayer takes on, by the way. And we'll go ahead and give them this money to try to help save their economy. Again, we're able to pay the bills, but down the road, we're leading to a collapse, at least a hyperinflation, if not a total collapse of our money, because we keep kicking the can down the road instead of dealing with the issue at hand. It should be a USA first, like Japan. That's Japan's attitude. When the UN went to Japan and told them they're going to have to start kicking money in to help these developing nations, Japan told them, no, we're going to take care of our people first. If there's any money.
Lots of countries that do that.
Yeah.
India, Russia, you know what I mean? They focus on them and them only. They don't give a fuck about outside the border.
If there's any money left over, we'll think about it then. But right now, Japan for Japanese people. America should be for the American people, but we're trying to buy friends around the world. We're trying to buy allies. And as long as we keep that attitude up, we're going to have a line of people at the door. I mean, out of 188 nations, I believe we give economic aid to 172. So we're trying to buy friends. If I was to open my door and say free money, I'd have people lined up around the block to be my friend, as long as I'm paying. But what happens when you stop paying? Do they still like you, or do they turn on you? But I'll stop there.
That seemed like a bunch of BS to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the reason being, like I said, now we sitting here listening to the news and on the papers and all that stuff, how they sit here talking about now they literally got the government shut down over an agreement on healthcare subsidies, right?
Mhm.
So I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, dealing with immigrants." I ain't trying to hear that shit. I'm just talking about the fact that we on day 14, and you can't get somebody to agree on healthcare subsidy, which is only gonna last for 7 weeks, and then we're gonna be right back in the same damn situation, trying to figure out what they're gonna do for the next little section. You know what I mean? Because this whole thing was only going to be like 7 weeks long before they had to jump back and do this thing all over again. Okay, so you don't know when that's going to be fixed. Okay, so you still have all these people being furloughed. You got troops not being paid. You got TSA not being paid. You got air traffic controllers not being paid. Now these ones from Congress sitting at the crib right now, they getting paid. Everybody else ain't getting paid.
Of course.
Now,
That's how that works.
but you could turn around and send $40 billion to somewhere else doing this shutdown
Mm-hmm.
like everything's cool. That's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
If you had
You're
$40
right.
billion, why do we have a shutdown? What's the fucking problem then? If you could just pull $40 billion out your ass and send it somewhere else, what's
Well,
the problem?
because it's
from the beginning?
$1.5 trillion, but you know, but still, yes, it is a double standard that is fucked against. It's skewed. Here's what the left and the right absolutely agree on, no matter what, is how to fuck the American taxpayer. That's it. They're pros at it. They always have been.
I mean, think about that. Okay, now think about the money that goes out. Like I said, it was 175 nations that we send money to. Okay, think about that. How much actually goes out? Then add that with the 40 billion. I mean, the 40 million a month that goes over to the Taliban for the little life insurance policy for all the ones that you
Yep.
sent your troops over and killed. Now we paying a damn death benefit to them, so they get that. Then circle over here where Israel gets 10 million a month. We send that over there. You know what I mean? Now we got 40 billion that you're sending over here. So, not to mention how much you sending over to Ukraine, how you just sit here today and took a whole plane full of fucking silver over to France just to cover their asses.
I
You
didn't
know what I mean?
that.
So it's a lot of there's a lot of money that gets pushed out of here that goes to everyone else. Now, like you said, you've been trying to make friends with people. You've been making friends with people for fucking years now. But that's not the problem. You got people right here that's starving. You got people
course.
right here that can't pay their bills. You got people
Exactly.
right here that's living in fucking cars.
Mm-hmm.
You got people right here that had to give up their keys because they can't pay their rent because the taxes done went up. You got kids that's gonna go to bed tonight unfed. But we worried about somebody else.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yes, I agree.
That's a problem.
This-
And that's going to
this
continue
is-
to be a problem until somebody decide to fix that shit. Because it seems like no matter who you put in office, the same shit goes on, which tells you it don't matter who you put there. The
No,
agenda
it
is
doesn't.
already set.
No, those
You
those
just put another
handshakes.
fucking puppet in the middle of it.
Yes, those handshakes and promises that the United States has made over the course of its history. We have a lot of handshake deals, paperwork deals, all this shit where it's financial agreements. So no matter who comes in office, it can't realistically be an America First concept, which I actually don't like the America First concept in the first place, because I think it should be, honestly, America only. And what I mean by that is by our money, our currency in the U.S., U.S. currency should be for staying here. You know, they shouldn't be sent overseas to different promises and different handshakes that we've made. I think that that money should be our money. But, you know, I have a nationalist kind of point of view rather than a globalist type of view.
Right. I mean, so why do you people here got to go through all the extra shit? Why they got to suffer? to make sure somebody else was good. You know what I mean? It never seemed to make sense to me. You know what I mean? When you claim to be the richest country in the world, but we got more homeless than anyone. We have more people in prison than anyone. You know what I mean? Where does that make sense? Going to college here, skyrocketed. Health insurance, skyrocketed. But you go to other countries that they say, you know, oh, well, there's a shithole country or whatever. A lot of them, healthcare is free. Education is free.
Mhm.
Everybody had a house. Dubai. Nobody's homeless in Dubai. Nobody. Everybody got a house. Everybody made money.
Well, the cheapest shit, in all fairness, yes, they do take care of their people that are poor there, which is a very small, minuscule amount. But the qualifications just to get into Dubai like that, it's not, you know, you gotta be a benefit to their economy, 100%. But I get what you're saying. In a lot of these different countries as well that have these, free or social, I shouldn't say free, social healthcare systems, a lot of them are populations like under 10 million people, most of them. We're dealing with 40 million people here in America. That's a humongous amount. And we definitely have a generation of people that love to, not only abuse and exploit a system, but now everybody's on the gravy train because no one's incentivized to do better. Because let's say I go out and make a $700 a week or whatever the case, but the government's offering me $1,100 a week to sit on my ass. Well, what the fuck am I going to take? You know what I mean? It's a system that is designed for control, but ultimately it's their demise and they know it. But in the short term, it's going to benefit the people in power. That's the whole thing. They're not looking long term.
I'd like to add to that,
Right.
and partial answer to what you're saying. If we're moving to a one world government system, which I do believe we are, United States citizens are living way up here. China used to be living way down here, and so were other nations. If you're going to a one world government system, you have to bring the people that are up here, you have to bring their standard of living down, and the people that are down here, they're third world, you have to bring theirs up to where there's almost a balance. That way, everybody's living on the same level and people will buy into that. I use the example, the euro. When they first came out with it, which reunited the Holy Roman Empire, and that was their money across Europe, was the euro. Germany and Great Britain's economies was so far up here compared to Italy and Spain and Portugal down here that when they tried to level it out, they found difficulty in doing so because one's money was worth so much more than the other one. But they had to bring those standards of living closer together. And then the euro started being able to blend across the countries. Otherwise, it was not even a doable operation. But I'll stop there.
Real quick on this, Jason says in the he says, do you think this will all come to fruition in our lifetime? I truly believe in what I think is I will live to see it.
Yeah.
I will live to see it. And I'm 30 for context.
Yeah, technology has made it to where in recent years, I mean, years ago when I was younger, technology changed about every 10 or 15 years. Now technology is changing anywhere from 2.5 to 5 years. So I do believe it will be in our lifetime because they can make things happen faster. Communications is such that people are getting things almost in real time. They can make it happen. I mean, look at them shutting down the government. The Democrats did not control the House. They did not control the Senate vote-wise. They didn't control the presidency, but they shut down the system. How? Because they invoked a filibuster. They knew that they couldn't put a filibuster through the House because that's not allowed, but they could put it through the Senate, thereby causing there to be no vote. And when there's no vote, then they can do their shutdown, because if they ran a vote, they would have lost by numbers. So the filibuster was the end around to get around the current situation on the lack of votes that they had. And look how easily they created that disaster. Look, going into next month, certain people on welfare is not going to receive their benefits. A lot of people are not going to get money going into next month. What kind of trouble would that cause? How much pain can be inflicted on a population before a population starts to become civil unrest? You start to have riots. You start to have
Happens quick.
greater crime, greater whatever. Because when it comes down to it, when people start seeing their grandchildren starving or their children starving, desperate people are going to do desperate acts. That's the law of nature right there. So
Keep
people
a firearm on you.
people better be aware of their surroundings. And, you know, if you're walking around with gold chains and stuff around your neck and you look like a piggy bank, you might be,
What up,
they
homie?
might be able to crack
I feel
that piggy
targeted.
bank. Yeah, they might be able to crack that piggy bank and take that from you and go to the local gold exchange place. Say, hey, I got some junk gold here. I want to cash this in.
Hey, don't call it junk.
Well,
That's not nice.
if
That's
they
not
rip it
nice.
off your neck and it's broke, you know, that was the lie that they told a lot of the public and the women. Hey, if you got junk gold or silver around your house, bring it to us. We'll buy your junk gold or silver. You bring a box in full of gold or silver, that's a treasure box. That has value. There's no such thing as junk gold or junk silver. That was the lie that they got the public to buy, and all these gold and silver exchange places were popping up everywhere, buying your wealth for pennies on the dollar and telling you, hey, all them rings and stuff your boyfriends bought you, bring them to us. It's just junk gold and silver. We'll give you enough money. You can take a trip. You can take a vacation. And people bought into that. They were stealing your wealth. There's no such thing as junk gold or silver. They weigh it up and you get paid.
It's whatever you can melt it down into. That's it.
Right. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to melt it.
That's why, you know, like this chain, when I originally bought this years ago, it's got diamonds, you know, in it, right? And I wish now, knowing what I know now, I wish I had bought that motherfucker straight solid gold, you know, instead of me buying something that got diamonds in it, because ultimately the diamonds aren't going to be worth much of anything. There's like 2,000 of them in this chain, right? But they're not really going to be worth anything, you know, when you take them out, they're whatever. And then you got a way less amount of gold that can be melted, right? And so that is something that I was always bummed out about when I found that out. I was like, oh, man.
I did a look up real quick, Mike, while we was talking. We was talking about that insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked up the countries that provide universal health care, whether the healthcare is generally free or very low cost.
Sure.
And it's 37.
So there's 37 countries
37
that
countries
do it?
that do that.
Okay. That's a lot.
Mhm.
That's
And out of
that's
them
a lot of
37,
countries.
We give money to all of them. And we give money to all of them.
I believe it.
Every single one of them on this list, we give money to.
I would be kind of interested
So
on the list of people that we don't pay money to. That would be an interesting list. For sure. So, what do you think, Aaron, in the terms of gold now, and what we were talking about, a universal gold and silver, a universal currency? What do you recommend for kind of like the one be all fix that we can do, at least here right now? What is in our control? What can we do?
Well, it's going to be to acquire real assets, because real assets are going through the roof. You got gold, you have silver,
And property.
you have land.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be key, because by 2030, land and housing is going to be so expensive. Majority of states you live in, you're only going to be able to rent. You're not going to be able to afford to buy. And it's being set up that way. They're even trying to set up things to where you can't leave real estate to your heirs. They're actually trying to invoke that. So if you're not hurrying up and putting your stuff into a trust or being able to protect it, and it's got to go through probate, your heirs aren't going to end up with it. They're going to take it away from them. So if you can acquire silver, gold, and land, it would be in your best interest. And with the land, you can grow food. Land represents independence. Gold and silver represents independence from a system that's designed. When you have high inflation, what's your best hedge against inflation? Silver and gold. Because the higher the inflation goes, silver and gold moves with it. It competes with it, where the US dollar goes down. But if the dollar becomes back strong, then the value of gold and silver goes down because you don't need it to hedge against inflation.
Well, and that's something that I was going to say was regards to gold and silver really doesn't fluctuate much in price. What it is it's hedging your bets, like you said, against the US dollar. What changes is the inflation levels in our value of currency, right? So that's where we see these big gold hikes, is not because gold is going up in price. No, it's actually our dollar is weakening that much, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, on that
That's
chart,
scary times.
yeah, on that chart that you put up, I think it
Yeah, I'll
showed,
put it back up.
yeah, it showed the dollar being at 53% of its value right now in 2025.
There it is.
It's been on a downward slide for a number of years. That's the reason why everything from when I was a teenager coming up to now, everything costs more and more year after year. Everybody keeps saying to me, something's got to give. Something's got to give. No, it don't. The system is set up to go a certain way, and you either find a way to adapt or you're going to go the way of the dinosaur. Now, is there a way to make money off of a system that's declining like that? Sure.
Sure.
But
right.
You got to do your research and find what investments you should be involved in to where you can grow while everybody else is losing their shirt. So, and someone posted earlier that the rich people aren't going to go for it. If you're in the ruling elite class, they're the ones that are setting the rules to the game. No,
I
they're
was
not.
just about to say that.
They're not going to go for it because they've separated themselves away. Who suffered in a kingdom? The king and queen, or did the peasants? Because
Right.
everybody was a peasant. Now you had the lords that made money, but they had to pay money to the king and queen. If we go to a one world system, which is what we seem to be heading toward, and we're being gently pushed in the direction, the ruling elite is going to control everything. We're going to be the ones begging for scraps. So if you've got gold and silver, when the hyperinflation starts, you're going to be wealthy. I mean, in Venezuela, when hyperinflation started there, the people that had gold and silver moved into gated communities that had armed guards to protect them. Those who didn't, they got blindsided, was eating out of trash cans. And I would say here, that's a word to the wise. Figure out which one you're going to be and then take appropriate action.
No kidding.
I mean, like right now, I mean, we've been talking for months about purchasing gold and silver and gold bags and what the importance of that was. And if and when the value of those two started to climb, that it was going to be a decrease in the value of the dollar and whatnot. So when we first started talking about buying gold and silver, at that particular time, I think silver was running right at about 22, anywhere between 22, 25.
Right, it was.
An ounce. So Aaron, why don't you tell them what the silver price is today?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, silver's at $53.15. It went up in just yeah, it went up 4% over the last few days. You want me to give my report on silver or so?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. In the last 2 days, beginning yesterday, the banks in England on the London Silver Exchange ran out of silver. There's a panic going on, and they're afraid that some of the banks who has these shorts betted on silver are going to implode. And some of these banks are around the world. Now, someone said that silver has no real value. Silver is a strategic metal that is also used for military applications and industrial applications. U.S. and its allies are running out of silver, and that's becoming a security issue. All of our smart munitions has silver in it. All of our satellites have silver in it. Anything that's computerized that is of strategic importance has silver in it. So even if you could argue that we're going to devalue silver down to zero, you can't, because it has an industrial military use.
Right.
Now,
So
right
does
now,
gold.
right.
Right.
Now, right now, hundreds of millions of shorts have been betted on silver. Now, let me explain to you the best way I can what a short is. Okay. Let's say Mike has 5 ounces of silver. Let's say silver's $20 an ounce. He has 5 ounces of silver. I'm going to bet a short on it. So I'm going to go to Mike. Hey, Mike, can I borrow your 5 ounces of silver? Mike might say, yeah, I'll loan it to you. So he loans it to me. What I do is I go sell it for $100. Then what a short is I'm setting it up betting that a little bit down the road, silver is going to go down, not go up. And when it goes down, I'm going to buy it back, say for $75. And then I'm going to take Mike his 5 ounces back. So he got his money back and he's happy. He got his ounces back and I get to keep the difference. That's what a short is. Okay. Now you got hundreds of millions of shorts by banks have betted on silver. And just from last year to this year, silver's up over 70%. We're talking millions, if not billions of dollars that the banks are now having to come up with. And not only do they have to come up with it to cover their losses, they got to come up with silver to give back to the people that they borrowed it from or the nations that they borrowed it from. And that's the problem right now. The demand for silver is so high that there are shortages right now, and it's causing problems. Western governments and China has worked hard over the last 2 decades to suppress the value of silver. So silver was being suppressed, and the one leading the charge was J.P. Morgan. And the whole time that they was keeping the value down, they're filling up their vaults with silver, not gold, silver, because they were trying to corner the market so that when there's a run up on silver, they can cash in big time. Now, China kept quiet on it because they were acquiring it. So they didn't care that the value was being suppressed and that all these banks were betting shorts on it, trying to keep it suppressed. But now silver's then taken on a price of its own due to demand. So they can no longer control the price. The fair valuation, according to so many ounces of silver to gold, would be $150 an ounce. Trump himself has predicted $200 an ounce silver. This is what came from the president recently in the last week. Now, London has found that they would have to pay 100% interest to borrow silver right now, just to borrow it from someone, 100% interest. And then they're going to have to pay a spot price, which if silver's worth $53, you're going to have to, the spot price was $1.40 over. So you're going to pay more for it just to acquire it. And now that is expanded to $3 an ounce on spot price. Now, the market is moving forward and it's breaking the bankers. The buyers are wanting to buy at price. The buyers are wanting to buy at the price of 53, but there's no sellers wanting to sell at that. So if you want to buy it to cover your losses, you have to pay whatever premium somebody wants to sell it to you. So if I tell you, you want to buy my silver, okay, I'll sell it to you, but you got to give me $10 over spot. So if it's $53, you got to give me $63 and I'll sell it to you. And that's what the bankers are facing right now.
Supply and demand.
Right now, Singapore, Zurich, London, Japan, and Stade is all suffering for silver. And silver, if people remember not too long ago, when GameStop had a sudden run up in stock price, they are predicting right now at this time, if the banks start to implode, silver will go from $52 to $100 an ounce in 2 days. That's what I found out between yesterday and today. So silver is definitely poised for a definite run up at this time. Now, will it happen? No, they're doing everything they can to suppress it. They're trying to manipulate it and they're trying to suppress it. The banks cannot afford this. But if it happens, it's because they lost control of the market and silver's taken on a life of its own. Same way inflation took on a life of its own. When Biden said a little bit of inflation never hurt nobody, and when he said inflation is transitory, which means temporary, inflation is still here, right, folks? Because inflation became a Frankenstein monster, and you had those people out there that saw a chance to make profits. So by raising their prices and blame it on inflation, so it took on a life of its own. Silver, because of the demand, is taking on a life of its own. They cannot suppress it. They cannot manipulate it. So this is why we're where we're at today. It's the reason why London has ran out of silver and different countries around the world is running out, and they're all crying for it at this time. So do I think silver can go above 52 or 53? Yeah, I still see room to grow. So, but it's got to be a long-term hold. But it's up to you. I'm not a financial advisor, but I started getting in on it when it was $14.50 an ounce, and I don't regret it. And at $52, $53 an ounce, I still buy it because I still expect it to go up. But you have to do what's best for you. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, I think when I was, let me see, I think I bought my first piece. It was like right around 22 is when I first started buying it. And then the last price that I bought it for was I think it was 29.30. One of them two was the last price that I paid for them. And then from then it just jacked up. So I figured, the rate is going down. I mean, it's going to climb fairly quick.
Yeah. We had cargo planes. We had cargo planes leaving the United States today, flying silver over to the London Silver Exchange because they don't have none. They're out, and they need it to keep their banks from imploding right now.
Yeah, it's gonna. This stuff's gonna get worse before it ever gets better, based on what we see it. Now, the thing is that this is a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today is a lot of stuff that we was talking about, 8-9 months ago, when we were telling people, okay, this is what is getting ready to take place. You know what I mean? And we were talking about a lot of this stuff. And we were bringing up different scenarios, and we was telling them, okay, this is the stuff that you need to do. You need to jump on this stuff now before it starts going up. This is stuff that we routinely said. You know what I mean? Now, I hate it for the fact that we were absolutely right about it. You know what I mean? I wish it would have been a little longer in this and not so quick of a time that is happening, but it is. One of the guys on here was asking, did we think this was going to be in our lifetime? I think absolutely. I think some stuff going to transfer over within the next 5-6 years. Personally, that's what I think. Just by the rate and how quick everything has been going, because this stuff here that we were talking about, this stuff that we're talking about right now is stuff that we talked about 8-9 months ago that we said that was going to happen. Now we're sitting here looking at it. You know what I mean? In real time, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? Now, what we were talking about 8-9 months ago, people were saying, like, nah, that's some conspiracy theory shit. That's what's going on. You know what I mean? Y'all overthinking this. That's what I heard a few times. You overthinking this. No, we're not overthinking this because look what the fuck going on. exactly what we said was going to happen. I mean, so I hate that it had to come to that, but it's going to get worse, folks. This is just the beginning.
Right.
Go ahead.
And I want to add to that. I want everybody to notice that mainstream media, I mean, I had to dig for some of this information in the last 2 days that I came up with, but I was able to find it and verify that it was true. They're not telling us about this. And, they tell you to invest in cryptos or certain stocks or stuff, but they're not telling you to invest in gold and silver. Gold and silver represents independence. If you're rich in gold and silver, not only are you independent, hell, you're even self-insured. I mean, after you get a certain amount of wealth in gold and silver, you can drop all your insurance because you become self-insured at that point. It represents, you can stack up gold on a table and take a picture of it and go apply for a loan. This is what I own, and you'll get a loan because they realize that investment is very liquid. You can go anywhere in the world and they're going to give you cash. They're going to cash you out in currency for any amount of gold and silver you got. So, but the mainstream media is not telling you to go that way with your money because the banks and the governments are trying to acquire it and they don't want a massive panic creating greater shortage, driving the price up even more. So they're going to wait till they get their banks full and then they might tell you something about it. And by then it's going to be too late.
Right. Yeah, I seen a thing the other day where it was a guy that was going through, he was in a junkyard and he was gathering up all the junk electronics. He was just walking through and just grabbing them, throwing them in the back of a truck, and then took them back home. And he was going through them, opening them up, going through them, and was just going through and just picking the gold out of the motherboards and stuff, and just putting it in a thing. He ended up with a nice little sum of gold that he had got strictly off of some old junk electronics that was sitting in a junkyard.
Well, it's almost in everything, every electronic.
Right.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So we're sitting at 122. So we're gonna drop this down. This conversation got ran long because we got into it a little bit. That happens sometimes, but
absolutely.
It's the reset coming. Me personally, I think it's already here. It's happening not through destruction, but through transformation, quietly, digitally, and globally. And the American dollar once symbolized independence, but in this new system, money itself becomes obsolete. You can't stop the reset, but you can understand it, prepare for it, and make sure you're not erased by it. Because in the end, the only real currency that we have is the awareness. So we're going to shut this off for this week. We'll be back in 7 more days, but I appreciate each of you that tuned in. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Go on both sides, on my and Mike's side. So that way video can get out the proper algorithm and be able to share this information with as many people as we can. Because that's the main part of us doing this show. I mean, we drum up and investigate and find all this stuff just so that we can do one thing: put the information out there and tell the truth about it. So next week we'll have another one for you. But until then, like I said, peace, love, and Aaron, go ahead and say your last words, brother.
Okay. I got 2 sayings I want to say. One from survival community, one my dad always said. And what my dad always said was, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. We can present this information to you. We can show you factual evidence, but we cannot make you act on it or believe it. But information's out there. You can dig it up. You can find it. And then in the survival community, there's a saying that it's not the smartest that will survive. It's not the strongest that will survive. It's the people who can adapt to change the quickest. If you can see the market trends that are coming, if you can see what's coming for the nation, and you can make your changes now, You can slide right into it and not only survive it, but you can thrive through it, because every disaster offers seeds of mutual assent to where you can make money off of said disasters or said comings. But you got to position yourself first, and you got to be ready to adapt. I'll stop there.
That's right. You have to look in between the lines of a lot of what's happening. For instance, like you brought up, Aaron, about is the mainstream media talking about buying gold and silver right now? Of course not. Of course not. That's not even in their interest. You know, the governments, that's their interest, and they're not going to allow that kind of rhetoric. You know, especially on mainstream media. Now, independently, that's what's amazing about YouTube and what we do. That's something that obviously I think that it's evident if you've got some cash liquid that it would behoove you to invest in gold and silver to at least be able to keep afloat somehow, right? And that's something that I'm also going to be doing myself. I should have been doing this a long time ago, but I'm going to be doing it very soon. Maybe even tonight, tomorrow, something like that, of course. But I can't thank both Archbishop and Aaron for the conversation. You guys, I really appreciate your extensive research and history behind it and understanding of it. And I really value these conversations as always. Every week, it's just a fantastic conversation. So I'm really honored to be a part of it. And I hope everyone in the chat, you know, you guys enjoyed the show as well. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Like the video, not only on my side, but on Archbishop's on Diamond Effect podcast. You know, make sure you guys go over there. Stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Grid One Motorsports from my side. Stick around for that. And listen, we'll be back here in 7 days. Much love, honor, respect to everybody. And we'll talk to you guys very soon. Much love.
We don't worry about nothing else. We control what we can't control, but we prepare to be dominant.
On a little bit better. Zayden Moore, though, can field it at the 45 and cut upfield. A great return here by number 1 as he is going to take it all the way in.
Sometimes you got to know what you know. They're going to call it cockiness. They're going to call it arrogance, but you're going to call it confidence. Do not allow my confidence to offend your insecurity.